Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy Healthy Guys.
We are. God, that was a mouthful coming back from the Thanksgiving holiday. It's good to be back. Today, this is an episode you do not want to miss. Today's episode. We're going to be breaking down the top questions that people ask about weight loss and metabolism. We're going to be exposing what the so-called, whoever these experts are still getting completely wrong, and it's messing you up.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely messing you up. And listen, we're gonna just reveal the truth, the real story. That's what we do, guys. You know this. So there's no myths, no mainstream confusion. Just what actually creates fat loss and metabolic healing. Those things and weight loss are not the same thing. And how to do it in the happy, healthy way, so you finally get results that work, that sticks. You never get stuck again, and you really stop struggling and getting off this medical weight loss merry-go-round that seems to be infinitely long, lengthy, and you feel like you never get off of it. So we're going to help you guys today.
Yeah, and you know, it's something that's really running rampant. And you look around, and you see people, and you can visibly see whether people are healthy or they're not healthy.
Yeah.
You can see whether they're making good choices or whether they're making bad choices, if they're following what the so-called experts are telling them to do. I was thinking about it during the Thanksgiving holidays. My sister and I guess it was Friday night or Saturday night, we went to a restaurant down the street from our house, and that band that you know, Passing Strangers, was playing.
Oh, I love that.
Of course, I had to
band.
go check them out.
Absolutely.
And so this is a band that was playing all of our college parties way back in the day. So
Yeah,
it
you
goes
love the 80s.
So yeah, if you love
Wow.
80s music, this band is still together and they're still playing the same songs that they were playing, more than 25 years ago. And I say that to say this is that the majority of the people in the room are our age. And so you've got people that are mid 40s, mid 50s that are in the room, and you look around the room, and I was trying to pick out the people who appeared healthy.
Okay.
And it was really hard. There were so many people that were overweight.
Yeah.
And when you look at them, they look like they were 15, 20 years older than myself and my sister. And I think that has to do with, it's obviously the choices that they're making, but a lot of that has to do with the advice that they're receiving from these so-called experts that are telling people what it is that they should be doing for their health. Because if there's anything that I know more now than I ever have before is, getting older is inevitable. It's going to happen to all of us. And the older that we get, the more we start recognizing just the mortality of it. And because of that, it makes you think that, I need to be making better decisions right now when it comes to my health. So all those people in that room are in the same boat. That's around the time of life when parents start passing away, and you start really feeling the reality of that mortality. So that's when they start making different decisions. But when you look at the room, it looks like they are making some really bad, poor decisions.
Yeah, and then it gets confused with, well, I'm getting older, and it really has nothing to do with your age, right? Because if that was the reason, then we're all screwed, because there's nothing you can do about getting older. There is no time machine. Heck, we're both older now than we've ever been, and we're as healthy as we've ever been. If not, well, maybe even healthier because of what we know and the changes we've been making over the last 25 years. In fact, I was thinking about it. I'm at that point in my life at 51 where I really started making real life changes based off the real truth about health, that really our body's designed to heal, and that the body doesn't need help healing. It needs no interference. So what that took me out of doing more things and going to doctors and taking more personal responsibility and looking at life completely different. And that happened around the age of 25 when I started chiropractic school. Okay. So now the first 25 years of my life, well, I wasn't living or thinking that way. For most of those years, I was just doing what my parents had taught me and what they were taught and what they knew. You go to doctors, you get You do these wellness checkups. You're on medications and antibiotics. And every time you have a symptom, you take a medication. You never get to run a fever. Heck, they pump you full of toxic vaccines. You're not eating a lot of foods that you probably should be eating, but you're going through life. And now I've had, more time on the other side of this now at 51. I've had 26 years to implement and start learning and changing based off the truth. And it hasn't been perfect because I've learned so much over the years, but I can look at my life the last 26 years, and I can look at my life the first 25 years. And when you think about living it in a different way, you can see the result of what can happen. And I can tell you the 26 years I've lived under this new way of thinking, the happy, healthy way of thinking and living, there's less fear. There's more agency. I'm no longer a victim. I don't worry about getting diseases. I worry about literally removing interference by taking responsibility for my lifestyle. Like everything has completely changed in how I look at life and how I live my life. And I'm so thankful for that. So you don't have to be scared of getting older, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Just because you see people getting older and getting sick, it's not their age. It really has to do with the things we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it. So what we did is we looked up what the top questions, I think we got like 6 or 7 of them total, but the top questions that people have when it comes to either their metabolism and or losing weight. And then we've got the questions, and then we have how the so-called experts answer the questions. And then we've got the way that we at Happy Healthy answer the questions through this lens of truth that you're talking about. So, okay, first question is this. How many calories should I eat to lose weight? So the experts claim and would answer that question, well, it just depends on what your height and your body weight is. And then they'll go through a calculation and tell you that, okay, in order to lose weight, then you need to reduce your caloric intake by this much and only eat XYZ amount of calories. So what they're really saying is that weight loss equals eating less calories.
And this triggers me. And I'm not that fragile. It doesn't trigger me, right? But I'll tell you what, it does irritate me. In fact, I would use the word, this is balderdash. You ever played balderdash? Remember we talked about last week, do you play the games or do you watch football? Balderdash is a game essentially where you make up a word in a definition and you try to trick people into thinking that it's a real word and a real definition. So really,
I feel like you play that with me all the time.
Yeah, balderdash is complete nonsense. If you can imagine, by the way, calories weren't even a word or even, quote, a real thing until the 1920s when they invented the bomb calorimeter, where you're just lighting stuff up and heating it through combustion to see how much heat is created to create a calorie. It's not even a real thing because it's never been even seen or measured inside the human body. So I can imagine our ancestors back in the 1850s, in the 1890s, before the 1920s happened, they were all worried about their height and their weight based off how many calories that they didn't even know existed. They had to stay within a certain amount in order to be at a good weight.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that would ever be a thing because it wasn't actually a thing. So calories then are nothing more than just a measure of energy.
Yeah.
And so obviously you want to make sure that your body is able to efficiently utilize that energy. I wouldn't even call it burn that energy. We just want to make sure that your body is efficiently using that, because at the end of the day, that right there equates to how much energy that we have throughout the day, how much we're able to sustain having a really good energy throughout the day, and then ultimately get to the end of the day where you're able to get a restful night's sleep so that your body can heal and to be able to repair. So
yeah, and I think in a bigger picture, even the question is flawed. So how many calories should I eat to lose weight? It's just really a bad question, because that's really not the answer, because just losing weight does not make you healthy. In fact, there's a lot of things you can do to lose weight. If you've ever seen somebody being poisoned with cancer treatments like chemo, they dry up and get emaciated and lose weight. Well, they're not healthy. You could stick somebody on a deserted island for 100 days with no food, and they're rail thin. They're not healthy. So just losing weight isn't the goal, and losing weight doesn't make you healthy. Remember, you want to become healthy to lose weight. That's really how you do it, but it's not ever about losing weight. It's about what is it? What's the big thing that we've been talking about now for a very long time? We keep beating this drum. It's not about losing weight. It's about your metabolism. So how many calories do I need to eat to lose weight has you going down the completely wrong road. You're literally in your car driving from Dallas, Texas, going north, trying to get to California. And if your geography's not good, let me tell you right now, if you're driving north, I'll be headed towards Coach Christine later tomorrow. I will not be headed to California, and I would never get there. And so the point is, if you're going down a road based off false, illogical thinking, it'll have you spending more time and money chasing something that's not even real. And I can tell you, I don't know anybody who asked the question, how many calories do I need to eat to lose weight, really is ever healthy, because you just can't do it that way.
Yeah, the reality is this, is you see people that are cutting their calories. I was that person that was starving myself. They're cutting their calories. They're only eating 1,000 to 1,500 calories a day, which is, I just looked it up, was that would be the recommendation for people to consume in order to lose weight. But people are only eating this, 1,000 to 1,500 calories, and they can't lose weight. Mm-hmm. So if it was calories in, calories out, by following that method, it would make sense that you would then continue to keep on losing weight. And that's not the case. So that right there proves that it is not calories in or calories out. So if it isn't calories in and calories out, or reducing your calories to be able to lose weight, then what is it? What is the happy, healthy way to actually do it? What is the right answer?
Well, it's metabolism. It's you want to work on healing and correcting your metabolic profile, because that right there, when your metabolism's healthy, you're never going to have a weight problem, and you never have to count calories ever again. Your body has, we've talked about this, it's really a zero-sum game when it comes to energy. Your body's very sensitive to dips in energy, when you've got plethora access to energy. And so it really governs your energy stores, and it regulates that through your metabolic rate. That's why if you continue to cut calories and your body is sensing over a long period of time that you're depleting it of calories, it will shut down and it will slow down. We describe the condition, the metabolic condition, torpor, which is hibernation. In torpor, your body's metabolic rate slows down. Obviously, we could give the example of a bear. They don't go to sleep to hibernate with a high metabolism. It begins to slow down based off energy demands. That's exactly what happens. So if you have a bad metabolism, and that's what has you stuck, which is really why you're stuck. It's not because you don't eat perfect or you're getting too many calories. You have a disrupted metabolic profile. But if your metabolism is broken, it really is a zero-sum game, because if you're listening because you've tried this, after all the diets, after all the fasting, after all the supplements, after all the exercise, after all the peptides, after all the things you're doing, when all that dust settles, you're right back where you were because of that zero-sum game and your body's ability to regulate your metabolic thermostat and keep you in a place that is safe. It doesn't want you to be restricted of calories or, quote, energy or nutrient-dense foods. And it will completely shut you down, which would explain why it couldn't be calories in, calories out, because we've seen how many people we consulted over the last 25 years that were on these low-calorie diets and couldn't even budge. How could you not lose weight if you're only eating a few hundred or a few thousand calories a day? It is because your body has shut it down and your metabolic thermostat has you stuck.
Yeah, it does. And that would be miserable too, following that way of thinking, based on what the experts are saying. I just looked it up on the calorie counter from the Mayo Clinic, and it says on there that I should be only consuming, which is crazy, only consuming 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
I'd be miserable if I was only consuming 2,000 calories.
Have for breakfast.
That's the point right there, because they're not even talking about what kind of foods that you should be eating. It's just reducing it down to only a calorie, which is...
Well, they do actually tell you what foods to be eating. They're telling you to eat low-fat dairy products. They're telling you to eat vegetables, fruits, and whole grains.
Right.
That's what they're telling you to do multiple times a day to stabilize your blood sugar.
Right. But looking at it just like that, and I think my point was on that is that when you look at that calorie counter and it's giving you a number, regardless of what it is that you're putting into your body, that's telling that person, because I lived it, that's telling that person to go to the grocery store you're shopping down the aisle and you're looking at the label and going, okay, that item right there, whether it's a grain, a protein, or whatever it is, that right there has 300 calories in it. Okay, 300, we're going to subtract that from the 2,000.
Right.
Now I'm going to get this, I'm going to subtract that from the 2,000. I'm going to get these Skittles, these M&Ms, Reese's peanut butter cups, or whatever. Okay, there just went 2,000. I can't eat anything else for the rest of the day. So now I'm done. And that right there is what's going to help me to be able to lose weight. So you're really not talking about any of the nutrients that are being put into your body. So really it's only calories. And the problem is that right there and that mentality is what's got so many people here, at least I know in our country, because we live here, so messed up, because that's what people are looking at on the box. Not only are they looking at that, and I guess we can go over another one of the questions on there. I'm going to skip ahead to it since we're talking about food. Is this, as they're looking at the box, they want to know this question. And here's the question that a lot of people are asking is, do I need to cut out carbs to lose weight, or do I need to eat more proteins? Which is it?
Yeah, and it falls back into the trap you just said, which is a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie. It doesn't work that way. If you're stuck in calorie prison, which you were stuck, good luck. I mean, you were in the Chateau d'If of caloric prison.
The what?
The Chateau d'If.
What's that?
You never seen the movie, what was that? The Count of Monte Cristo?
Oh, yeah.
The most,
yeah. I saw the movie. I don't remember them saying that.
It's where they send all the innocent people that have to go away. They send them to the Chateau d'If.
Okay.
And it's one of the most brutal, horrible prisons. At least it was in the movie. But that is the prison you're living in. Much like maybe Shawshank rings a louder bell.
I know that movie.
The Shawshank, but the prison of calories in, calories out is brutal because it doesn't take into consideration the quality of the food that you're eating. So to answer your question, do I need to cut out carbs to lose weight? Well, not a good question, because you don't need to try to lose weight. Number one, you need to heal your metabolism. And then number two, carbs aren't the enemy. The right carbohydrates fuel your body and give you nutrient density and give you usable glucose that your body has to have to function. So I eat a very high carbohydrate nutrition program. I do. I eat lots of easily digestible carbohydrates. A lot of you probably know some of my journey, and I've put a lot of work in over the years to heal my metabolism and get myself metabolically flexible. But I do really well eating lots of easily digestible carbs, things like raw honey and maple syrup and fresh squeezed fruit juices and coconut water. I do really, really well. I eat lots of dates. We talked about, my joke is I don't go on dates, but I eat dates. These are really easily digestible carbs that fuel my body. And if these were causing weight gain, Dr. Rob, I'd be pretty obese. And you know me pretty well. I'm just not overweight. And it's not because I'm lucky, because I had a brother genetically, my genetic own younger brother died from being 100 pounds overweight at 27 years old, morbid obesity. And we ate the same things growing up. So it's all about metabolic health. And to have a healthy metabolism, you need to be able to use carbohydrates. Now, your body will make them if you don't eat them, but that is a stress response. If you're never getting carbohydrates and your body's always having to make them through gluconeogenesis, that is a stressful place to live in. And remember, if your body senses stress and it senses a lack of nutrients, it's going to shut down your metabolism. So I think in the long term, if you're always on a low carb diet, you could be wrecking your metabolic profile.
Hey there. Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. We appreciate it. Now, if you're somebody who's curious about your metabolism, how you're doing with your metabolism, go to metabolismscore.com, take the quiz, find out where you're at.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And, you know, we don't make a lot of products, but the products we do make are all metabolically focused. So go check these out. Go to the happyhealthylife.com. And when you get to checkout, use code podcast to save 10% off any and all of our metabolic friendly products.
You could. And then that brings us in, you just touched on it because you were talking about your brother. And we're going to come back to food here just in just a few minutes. But going on to that, because a lot of people, and this is a question that people ask, I used to ask the question, is what if I have bad genetics?
Yeah.
Can I have a faster metabolism if I already have bad genetics, right? Or is a slow metabolism genetic? And I used to think that because I watched my mom struggle with her weight as long as I could remember as a kid. So at 13 years old, you guys have heard my story, is 210 pounds, about 5'4", as wide as I was tall. And my mom at that time was struggling with her weight. She was always chronically on a diet. And she would be talking to her sisters on the phone about whatever the diet she was on, because they were going to be doing the diet as well. So they're all struggling. So I'm like, hey, if she's struggling and her sisters are struggling, of course I'm supposed to struggle with my weight. And then she was doing what all the experts were telling them to do back then, which is the same exact thing that the experts are telling you to do today. And that's eat less and move more. So that's when I started starving myself. And as you've heard my story, went from 210 pounds down to 124 pounds and completely just wrecked my metabolism because I thought the only way to overcome that bad genetics was doing what the experts were telling me to do. Now, here I am at 54 years old, and I do have a healthy metabolism, healthier than it's ever been.
True story. I mean, you've been my best friend for almost 25 years. I've seen it. It's like, it's hard to even believe you're the same person that I knew used to struggle. And you just don't anymore. It's remarkable. I don't want to minimize your story because it really should give everybody hope to know that you don't have to be stuck the rest of your life living in fear, blaming your genetics, and feeling like there's nothing that you can do. Because we know that victims, if you believe there's nothing you can do, you are a victim. And victims will never heal because you'll never fully take responsibility and take full agency in the process and the journey of turning something around. Clearly, you have turned it around, and it's pretty remarkable to see.
And what's amazing, and one of the things that we've talked about in the past, is when you become aspirational. In other words, where people want to aspire to be like you. You can inspire somebody and get somebody motivated to do something, but aspirational is when you're showing somebody that it's possible. And now seeing my mom, who is smaller now than she has ever been. So if it was a genetic thing, then that would have been impossible. My sister is also thinner and smaller than she's ever been because they've both been following what it is that we teach with Happy Healthy. So they both overcame that genetic issue that they both thought was a problem. Even my sister, I'm so proud of her because she was always that person. She has, you may be listening right now. She's in our membership group. She used to always say, you know what, there's no way that I could be able to ever do or follow your recommendations. I would always be so hangry.
Yeah.
And that's going to be because the next thing that we'll talk about here when it comes to food, she was able to overcome that because of following what it is that we teach. Her body changed physiologically speaking. So it wasn't a mindset thing. And it was, here's the question that people ask. And this is where my sister had fallen prey and victim to this and the experts' advice on this. And here was the question is...
Experts in quotation marks, clearly.
Experts in quotation marks. Do I need to snack or eat small meals all day? The experts' claim is frequent small meals keep your metabolism up.
And it stabilizes your blood sugar, as if your body wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have access to food every 2 to 3 hours. I always just go back to what our ancestors did. If you can imagine, our ancestors may not have had access to food 24/7. There might have been times where food was scarce, where they weren't fasting. They just didn't have food to eat. So you don't eat. That's probably part of it. There's probably times where there was abundance, where you got to eat more. But this general rule of eating multiple times a day to stoke your metabolism, to keep your blood sugar stable, is completely ridiculous. In fact, any type of research that we've come across, and if you have anything different, let us know, that this thermogenesis response, which is when you create and burn more heat when you eat, it's only beneficial really maybe 2 to 3 times a day. There isn't any evidence that would suggest eating more than 2 to 3 times a day has really any metabolic benefit. In fact, it shows the opposite if you just look around, because the average American is eating 18 times per day. The Average Americans eating 18 times per day. So if eating all day long made you skinny, we'd be the skinniest country in the world. Now you're thinking, well, there's no way we're eating 18 times a day. Remember, it only takes about 30 to 40 calories, if that's even a real thing, I do put that in quotations, to stimulate the response or the release of insulin when you eat. So we're talking about a handful of almonds, a sip of your latte, chewing gum, having a protein bar, a protein shake, a piece of fruit, some type of pre-made protein shake that you took to work with you, lunch, dinner, breakfast, a soda, a diet. So, I could keep going. All these little hits and snacks, you're literally stoking your body and releasing insulin all day long. And if you continue to do that, you're not going to build your metabolism. In fact, you're going to increase cortisol because your body's going to be super hungry all the time. You're going to have huge blood sugar swings. It's going to make you hangry. But when your body's metabolically strong, when you're not dependent on having to eat all the time, your body's energy reserves and your body's ability to source energy. And when I say energy reserves, your body's ability to store carbohydrate as glycogen in your liver and muscle. And then obviously your body's ability to tap into stored fat to use for energy as well. That's that metabolic flexibility that your body can go back and forth with. If you're metabolically strong, you can easily go 4-5 hours or longer between meals and have zero blood sugar drop. And if you're not able to do that, you've really fallen into the trap of the calories in, calories out. And this is why we created our metabolic program.
It is. And we were talking about it last week. I was telling Dr. Randy, I guess it was Tuesday or Wednesday. So a lot of you guys who know, we have different things that we do. And that's the great thing about having metabolic flexibility. You don't have to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. So typically I'll fast from Sunday evening to Monday night at dinner. And Monday night rolled around and I had been working and I was sitting at my desk and I didn't eat yet. And it was probably 7-8 o'clock at night. And I said, you know what? I am not hungry even a little bit right now. And so I just chose to, finish up working and did a little bit of reading, went to bed, woke up the next morning, again, not hungry, going through the day. And I just told myself, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and go 48 hours on this fast instead of 24 hours. And I just want to see if my body actually will get hungry or what it's doing right now. And I worked out. My body was utilizing energy from fat stores inside my body. And I never was hungry, all the way up until up to eating dinner on Tuesday evening. No hunger pains, no anything. So those people that say, hey, I'm going to starve to death. You're not going to starve to death. No, you've created a habit inside your body, which then becomes a physiologic craving. That's a real thing when you train your hormones, when you've got a lot of toxins inside your body. We can talk more about that here in just a few minutes. But that right there was a great sign to say that, you know what, your body has metabolic flexibility. It's burning fuel efficiently. It's utilizing energy efficiently from the right places because I've trained my body to have a great metabolism.
Yeah, and you weren't necessarily planning on fasting.
I wasn't.
You were just listening to your body. And that's one of the problems people get into with all this long-term caloric restriction and fasting and the overuse of exercise is you're putting your body in such a stressful state where you're depriving your body of nutrients. And remember, your body has a sensory system. One of those sensory systems is called your AMPK enzyme pathway. It regulates your cellular metabolism and it can look at energy stores. And if you're constantly depleting your body of nutrients by starving yourself, over exercising, you're going to be raising your cortisol. And initially, that may reduce some of your hunger because, cortisol can cause your body to release stress hormones like adrenaline, like in fight or flight, which can be great if you're being chased by a bear, but not long term. If you're in constant stress, releasing adrenaline, you're going to start breaking down muscle and you're going to have an incredible appetite. It's going to make you ravenous, hangry, and so hungry. That's why abusing exercise and fasting can be very dangerous. There is an energy sensory system in your body. But going back to what you're saying is, I love that you just listen to your body. I think being intuitive, especially when you've put the work in metabolically, can go a really long way because I fast as well. I don't probably fast as much as you. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. but we don't have to do it the exact same way. I know this. I choose good food. I eat when I'm hungry. I eat till I'm full. And if you eat real food, it does create satiety. And those are some simple things that I try to do on a daily basis that has served me very, very well, where I don't have to ever think about a calorie. If that's even a real thing, I don't even think about it. I just want to think about what would my great grandfather probably be eating, right? What did my great grandmother eat who lived to be 100? Well, I kind of have an insight of what she ate because my mom told me because she knew her. Raw milk, local food from their garden. Obviously, they had local beef. They had pastured pigs. They had chickens where they ate the eggs. They churned their own butter. So that just tells you right there, eat more real food, sci-fi for your food, single ingredient food items, and serve for your food. Simply eat real food. Those two strategies go a long way. And they're ancestrally consistent.
They are ancestrally consistent. Okay, next question. Should I exercise more to lose weight? The experts say that by doing more cardio, you're going to burn more calories. And as a result, you're also going to be burning more fat. That ain't true.
I mean, on the surface, it sounds perfect. Hey, just eat less and move more.
Sounds great. This is probably the hardest one to be able to break through with people. People are addicted to exercise. Now, exercise is a good thing. Okay. So I don't want you to think that we're going to say it's a bad thing. Exercise is great. Exercise is great for reducing stress. It's great for helping your body to be more fit. It's great
improving circulation.
Yeah, it's great for a lot of things, but utilizing exercise to lose weight is a losing strategy. And we've talked about that in the past. And that's the next question that we'll get into as well with exercise because they go together. But a lot of people don't realize that in order to burn just 1 pound of body fat, if you were going to use exercise to burn fat, okay, or burn calories that are fat calories, you would have to burn 3,500 calories to lose just 1 pound of body fat. Now, on average, women that come into doing our program, and we've helped thousands and thousands of people, need to lose anywhere from about 40 to 60 pounds of sheer body fat, men more. So what that means there is that they would have to burn 3,500 times, let's say 50 pounds of body fat. That's a lot that they would have to burn. Now, the challenge is that if you were going to burn 3,500 calories, the next question being is, how many steps should I get in per day to lose weight? Well, once again, these so-called experts say that the research shows, and by the way, this research that they're talking about was some study that was done back in 2008, okay? What they said is 10,000 steps per day. What they also said is the reason it's 10,000 steps per day is because 10,000 times 7 days in a week would equal 70,000 steps, okay? Which is the equivalent to walking about 34 miles in order to be able to burn this 1 pound of body fat. That's only for 1 pound of body fat. You got to walk 70,000 steps or 34 miles to lose just 1 pound of body fat. This is the exact reason why you see that person either on the treadmill every single day or the stair climber every single day for the last 15 years. And their body composition looks exactly the way it did 10 years ago when you first saw them on that same machine.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, an hour on the treadmill at a moderate pace is probably a 300 calorie burn. And it's 3,500 to even get a pound. I can just tell you that, cardiovascular exercise, there are benefits, but it will leave you completely stuck. In fact, a lot of times what will happen, addiction to cardiovascular exercise can really raise your cortisol levels, and you'll see it like you'll see these skinny fat people, right? There's no muscle, but they've got a belly. So it's like this sarcopenic obesity state.
The person that runs marathons.
Yeah, it's the person as they get older, they look like a wisdom tooth. The guys do, right? They're the skinny little legs and the big torso and the gut because your body is emaciated. You've lost all your muscle because you chronically raised your cortisol to try to lose weight, and it just doesn't work. That's why a slower paced walk can be a way more effective strategy, but you're only going to be you'll burn some fat, you'll burn some calories, but that's the calorie prison, just like it is with the food. It's the same calorie prison with the exercise, because the reality is if you're really going to lose weight with exercise, you better be prepared to start running 20, 30, 40, 50 miles every single week. And I can tell you that is not going to work. It's going to break your body down. Our bodies aren't designed to do that. So that whole, in fact, it shouldn't be something that you think about. I go back to, our time in Sardinia this last summer when we were in the blue zone of Saiulo, and one of our good friends that we made, Giovanni, who was 90 years young, looked incredible. We've talked about him, very fit, very strong, great posture. And he just walked kind of everywhere that he went, but he wasn't counting steps or thinking about, I need to lose weight. He ate a real food diet. He had great relationships. He was outdoors. He was barefoot a lot. He liked to walk through the mountains and drink clean water and eat real food and move and make his own wine. This was somebody that wasn't counting steps. He didn't have a wearable. He wasn't counting calories. This is a guy who just got out back to what his ancestors had always done that helped create a foundation of really strong people that live a very, very long time. So not saying don't exercise. I exercise. I know you exercise, Dr. Rob. I love it. But if you're using diet and exercise to manage a weight problem, you're using them inappropriately. Nutrition is for your health. Exercise is for your health. They're really probably the two worst strategies you could use to lose weight, because you shouldn't be trying to lose weight. Stop asking, how do I lose weight? Start asking, how do I fix my metabolism?
It's funny you said that. I was thinking about that this last week. So in San Antonio, so I still will exercise wherever it is that I go. And I've been lately, as you probably know, I've been getting into Pilates. Okay. Working on my core strength, working on my core strength, my lower back. If you listen before, you know that I had 2 back surgeries back in 2020. So taking care of myself. But it's interesting because you have these people, the class, and I was in there the day after Thanksgiving in this class in San Antonio, and it was packed. But what was interesting is, as I look around the room, and by the way, in a Pilates class, only male in the room.
I was going to say that the demographics. Maybe I need to take up Pilates as a single guy.
Speaking of the not dating, maybe you should.
Maybe
I think that'd be a great strategy. A great strategy. So I look around the room, and I think there was only one thin, fit person in the entire room.
Wow.
And I would bet that if you took a poll of everybody in the room, the reason that they were there the day after Thanksgiving was so that they could be, quote, exercising to burn calories, which you're not going to do, by the way. Yeah. Doing Pilates is good for strength in core, but you're not burning calories per se. And if you're a Pilates instructor, don't get mad at me for saying that.
You didn't say you don't burn any calories, but once again, not a good strategy to try to lose weight. Yeah.
So, but it was interesting because that right there is the mindset. It's the mindset that if I exercise more, it's going to help me to be able to lose weight. So anyway, I just thought that was funny. And so I just started just passing out cards. That was whatever.
Hey man, listen, when you're in the environment, act as if, for sure. But it's hard to approach a woman and let her know that, hey, we have a great metabolism program. Although women have no problem telling us men that we probably should go hit the gym. Just going to throw it out there. Ladies, no hate mail. Just keeping it real. Love you guys. But back to the point, which I'm not wrong here. But listen, so yeah,
our demographic is like 90% female, right?
Yeah, I know. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to recruit more men with these type of conversations.
We just lost 10 listeners.
Yeah, we did. So we just got a 1-star review on the podcast.
Don't do that. By the way,
1 star.
1 star. You know what I hate is the 3-star.
You're not even committed either way.
This makes no sense. Just don't give any stars. Oh, that's a whole different story.
Although I'm really thankful, we have so many great reviews. We get way more 5 stars than 3 and 1 stars. But any 1 stars potentially from this podcast, I do take full responsibility. But it makes us look more authentic, because if you're only 5-star in everything, you're probably not being honest. So I think the honesty here and getting a few 1 stars could be a positive thing for the company.
All right, next question. So the next question is this, and we'll end with this question. By the way, as we've been talking about food, and you were talking about the AMPK pathway, that's one of the reasons why we created our new products.
Yeah.
That's a good place to even talk about that. Even coming into this last question is with our Thermostat Burn Plus product is freaking amazing. And so, and not only that, but our Crave Control product that we have is these two products working synergistically are great. I don't know if the Cyber Monday thing is still going on. If it is, great. You can find it at thehappyhealthylife.com and then go to products and shopping on the products there. I'm just saying that not because we made the programs or the products, but because I've been using those products now faithfully and consistently, and I can tell a noticeable difference. So great products.
No, it's remarkable. The feedback we've been getting is insane, and it's really not even about losing weight.
No.
Let's just remember we just need to stop thinking about losing weight. We need to start thinking how to optimize metabolic function. And any products that we make, produce, or carry are designed to optimize metabolic function. We're never trying to force weight loss. We have a whole metabolism program that people lose a ton of weight on, but we have people who do the program who don't lose weight, because you're really wanting to detox the body from chemicals and seed oils and glyphosate, get to upregulate the metabolic profile, get your body burning fat and glucose efficiently, really resetting your metabolic thermostat. So these products support that. And we did put together a 10-day protocol that you can follow for 10 days with the two products, with the Thermostat Burn Plus and the Crave Control, to get a phenomenal, kind of a little bit of a reset metabolically. You may lose a little bit of weight, but it's really designed to help optimize insulin sensitivity, upregulate what's called, I just went blank for a second, but it's uncoupling. That's what I was looking for. It's metabolic uncoupling, which is a fancy word to say your body burns more heat, burns more calories at rest. So you're going to have a thermogenic increase. And we're also going to help drive deeper autophagy, which is that AMPK pathway, where your body gets really, really good at using fat for energy and using glucose for energy. Remember, those are your two main sources of energy. You can use protein, but it's very inefficient. So you want to use fat, you want to use carbohydrate. These products help support that. So go check that out. Couldn't be more excited about these two new products, and I take them every day.
Yeah, it'll be in the resources if you're driving. We don't want you to have a car accident. We love you. Okay. All right. So last question is weight loss all about willpower? The experts claim is that you need more discipline in order to lose weight.
Yeah, and it's just not, we know that's not true. I mean, what we know about your willpower, Dr. Rob, is what?
It will let you down every single time.
Yeah, that's really what diet and exercise and believing in calories, much like believing in the boogeyman, creates so much fear and stress. They just aren't real things. And when you really look at health differently, and you start asking better questions, you don't have to have perfect willpower. If being at a healthy weight is built out on perfection, I think we're all going to be in pretty big trouble. And I don't want to be that fragile. Remember, the spark is only as powerful as the tinder that it has access to. And so a lot of times people ask the question, so if it's not calories, then why? Because you don't have to know what's true to know what's not true. And we know it's not calories in, calories out. So what is it? So we talk about happy, healthy. We're talking about, listen, you've got to be aware of the chemicals that you're putting on your body, the lotions, the makeups, the mascaras, the colognes, heck, the artificial sweeteners, seed oils, these polyunsaturated fatty acids, exposure to electromagnetic frequencies from our phones, being inside all day under artificial light, never getting out in nature, being a victim, right? That victim mentality where you blame your age, you blame your genetics, you blame a garbage poker hand, all the things you can't control. When you think about eating too many foods that just aren't nutrient dense, you're overfed, you're undernourished. Stop eating fake food and stop masking all your symptoms with medications. All medications create metabolic dysfunction. We talked about how these statin drugs for cholesterol, they cut your GLP-1 hormone that you make in your body in half. Antidepressants create insulin resistance and weight gain. We could go on and on and on. It's not a calories in, calories out. It's creating a terrain and an environment where you're metabolically strong, you've got metabolic flexibility, and you no longer have to rely on willpower ever again.
Yeah, and the reality is that when the experts claim that you need more discipline, the word discipline, everybody knows about the 12 disciples, and the word disciple really means student. And so Jesus was there to be able to teach the disciples, and they became students. And so it really means becoming a student of what it is that we're talking about right now. And then as I'm thinking you talk about all those things that need to be either eliminated and or added, what it really takes is two things. Number one is consistency. A consistent daily habit of doing these things. You don't have to change everything overnight. As we were talking, you said this is something that started 26 years ago, right? So it doesn't have to be overnight, but as you're consistent with it, you're now building a daily habit, right? The more you do it, the easier that it becomes, right? So it's like second nature. But the second thing that's happening, especially when people, for example, are going through our metabolism program, we're helping them to be accountable to it. So when you go through our thin method, you're becoming accountable, you're being consistent on a daily basis, and here's what that's helping your body do. Here's the second thing. So you've got consistency, number one. Number two is you've got adaptation. You're creating an environment inside your body where it can now better adapt to everything on the outside. What do they say is if you want to change the world around you, you need to first change the world inside you. And so when you're able to now adapt to all the stress of the environment, you now have metabolic flexibility. You can eat the carbohydrates. You can eat the proteins. You can eat all of the good, fun food. It doesn't have to be about then just no longer putting as many calories into your body. You can eat whatever it is that you want. You can actually enjoy that. And so consistency and adaptation is what we're going for.
Yeah, you reminded me of the quote, who is it, from John Maxwell? If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you.
Oh,
right. Yeah, if you can't change who are the people that you're hanging out with? Are you around people that, to your point, that do hold you accountable, but who also believe in you, who won't let you settle for anything less? I love it, and we'll close here on my side. Being around at Thanksgiving, I was around my two nephews, my brother's boys, Russell, Austin, and Luke. And it's so cool because I've built such a standard with these boys where they know how I'm going to eat and how I'm going to live, that I'm going to be going out for about 45 minutes to go for a walk and I'll be right back, that I'm going to be doing chores around the house to help my mom. Like, I love the accountability and the things they get to see from their uncle because I've set a standard of how I live my life. And we have these conversations now about, why don't you eat this? Or is this healthy? Does this have good nutrition in it? We talk about these things. They love these conversations now. It's because I am consistently showing up. So consistently show up and have people that do hold you accountable, who believe in you. That's why I love our happy, healthy community, Dr. Rob. We have the best community of people who are living it, breathing it, preaching it. Not perfect, because none of us are, but we're all moving in the same direction. And I can tell you 26 years of moving in this direction has served me well. And if you guys know that to be true, give us a shout out and let us know. There is no better life than living the happy, healthy life from above down, inside and out.
Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. Definitely like it. Share this with your friends.
No 1 stars. I apologize in advance.
No 1 stars, only 5 stars. Rate it, review. And just give us some feedback. Let us know what your questions are. You can always hit us up on Instagram at the H2 Life there. Let us know what kind of questions you have, any feedback that you have. We would love to hear from you. And for those of you guys who are members of our group, thank you for being in here live with us. It's way more fun with you guys being in here than doing this alone. You guys have a blessed day today.
God bless you.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.